Hi, and welcome to another edition of IntelligenceCareers.com radio. I'm AJ along with Bill, and we are here tonight to talk about careers, jobs, resumes, getting a job,
Everything you want to know about the defense and intelligence industries.
and making yourself feel generally good because you'd have a job that you want to have.
And there are jobs out there.
Go ahead.
I was going to say we have jobs across the USA and in 28 countries, both good and some really bad ones too.
But usually in the badder neighborhoods, the pay is gooder.
Often, but you never know.
Now, one of the things we talked about before we started this was that Intelligence Careers is going to be some places here in the upcoming weeks.
We are. You can find Intelligence Careers out at 29 Palms, Camp Pendleton, California. You will find us within the next 3 weeks out in San Antonio, Texas. We're going to be in the Metro DC area. We're going to be up in Maryland. So go to intelligencecareers.com, look for the calendar icon, and click on that, and you'll find out where we are.
Any plans to go to Asia or Europe in the near future?
No plans for Asia. We do plan to go to Europe again in May. I believe May 19th or May 21st. We'll be in Stuttgart, Germany. Our guest, our very special guest, will be the Defense Intelligence Agency and L3 Corporation.
Now, if I were in Korea, for example, and I thought, you know what, Intelligence Careers is a company that I would like to have here because my soldiers, sailors, and airmen need some help with the transitioning. What do I need to do then to contact you?
Really very simple. That is a far plane ride to be taking. But if you are willing to put together space, provide space, and you're willing to advertise the event for 20 to 25 individuals, we're willing to come out to Korea or to Japan, Okinawa in southern Japan. We're willing to come out and do a seminar at no cost to you. We just ask that you provide a space and that you handle inviting individuals to come to the seminar. And what you do is you go to intelligencecareers.com. You look at the top of any of our web pages. We have a 1-800 number. Just call our 1-800 number or the email address, which is with the number, and just let them know that you're interested in sponsoring the seminar in your area.
Now, I think it's helpful to say that as an Army retiree, getting onto an air base or an Army fort in Asia isn't generally an issue because you do have that ID card with you. So that works well in Europe and in the United States. And
well, actually, that is not true. Once upon a time, that was true a couple years ago. Because of terrorism and other concerns, military bases generally are locked down, and retirees are often blocked from entering. In fact, I was just in Germany last week, and even within Germany, for some people, if they do not work on a particular base, they can't go on other bases for which they're not authorized.
I assume then if you were going to Korea or Japan, Guam, Okinawa, they would know in advance then, we are expecting Bill Golden.
Well, that's why
these people from Intelligence
Well, that's
Careers.
why we need a sponsor that says, look, you know, come out to Japan, come out to Korea, care of Family Services or the Military Transition Program, you know, give us a seminar and meet with our folks. They would clear that with the base, and we would have permission to go on then.
So again, they would go to intelligencecareers.com.
Look at the top of any of our web pages. We have a 1-800 number, and that number is 1-800-919-8284.
Super. Well, we hope to see you in Korea and Japan sometime soon.
And it's really easy. Our email address, too, is customerservice@intelligencecareers.com.
And if we played this well, even intelligencecareers.com radio could be there and present.
They could be, and we're more than willing to do all kinds of things to help you help the troops find their next career.
Yeah, and that I think is the ultimate goal, help people make a transition from military life into the civilian world.
And while mentioning Intelligence Careers, we're really the entire family of defense-related career fields. We're also defensecareers.com and usadefenseindustryjobs.com. And our flip side is we run a number of websites such as usajobzoo.com, which has many opportunities. So you're really getting this this package of jobs where we can come out and talk about different industries. But Intelligence Careers Inc., intelligencecareers.com, is our parent company, and that's who we would officially be coming as.
And the beauty of all that is the fact that if you don't have a clearance or you have no interest in working with the Department of Defense, USA JobZoo will cover any needs that you may have.
Absolutely. We have almost 100,000 jobs on USA JobZoo, and there are a number of companies that use Intelligence Careers that don't require any clearances at all. Three of our newest customers includes Capital One Financial.
Sure.
They have easily 130, 140 positions listed with us. They don't require any security clearances for any of that. Yo Staffing, Y-O-H, exclamation point, Staffing has an incredible number of positions across the USA, and they need people all day long, no clearance required. And the third company is one of my very favorite, and that's Unisys, which is a massive, they're a massive engineering company.
It's a blue chip company.
Blue chip company. And you know what? In fact, they have 4 hot jobs that you can find on our websites this week. The hot jobs are out in California or New York. All of them are great jobs, and not a single one requires a security clearance.
Excellent. Now, one of the goals for tonight is for us to answer questions that have come in from the viewers and the listeners over the past couple of months.
And we love questions.
And that's why we're here, and that's why we get the big bucks. Oh, wait a minute,
Big
that's why you get it, because you answer. I just pass the question to you.
Yes, but you can read.
Well, and I've been known to do that, but I don't know if I can understand. But here's a good question from George. And this one came from last year, so we were a little slow in answering this one. But I think the information is still just as valid. It says, I'm going to get enrolled in the American Military University, in AMU, and in the graduate program. And George is interested to know which concentration or degree program he should pursue. He lists a couple of them here, like Homeland Security, Intel Studies, Intel Analysis or Analyses, Intel Collection, Terrorism Studies, and also Emergency Management. Then George continues to write, I would like to graduate with a master's degree that will make me more marketable among the Intel community and employers. Any recommendations on other related degrees are greatly appreciated too. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. What do you think, Bill?
Well, first off, George, congratulations on pursuing your education. The world of the future, which is already here, is very, very information and education focused. Now, for the degrees that you mentioned, you picked American Military University, and it's a very fine, accredited institution, and you're probably studying online. Studying virtually, and you know what? Really good news there. Employers generally don't care. They don't care as far as whether you're in a brick and mortar or studying online. They care that it's an accredited institution, and AMU definitely meets that. Now, as far as the degree areas of study that you're interested in, let's look at it this way. If you're looking to go to work for the government, any of those degrees are good.
Wouldn't all those degrees translate into primarily government or DoD contractor work?
Primarily government.
Okay.
Now, as far as DoD contractors concerned, George, you want to go into emergency.
What, emergency management?
Emergency management, yeah. Homeland Security Management with a focus on emergency response, because defense contractors really are focused on usable skills that go to servicing something very specific. If you study intelligence analysis, intelligence studies, and you're not an intelligence analyst, contractors are not going to care. They're going to care far, far less, because they're not able. They're looking for experience, and those degrees just won't give you the experience.
Yeah, unfortunately. You know, you're getting out of school, and how do you get experience? You got to get a job.
Sure.
You know, and if you can't get a job, then you can't get experience.
That's right. Now, on emergency preparation or emergency management, of course, you won't have the experience either. The difference is you are being trained to go into an operational staff or an operational support position to where you have a skill set that just needs to be put to work. With intelligence analysis or intelligence studies, you really need 3, 4, 5, 6 years out in the field to where your gut cooperates with your brain and you can put knowledge to work.
Would you be able to get that experience by taking your degree and go in the military? Or
Absolutely.
that's one way to do it, but I guess it's not required to do that.
It's not required. I would tell you, George, and I don't know how old you are, and I would tell you if you're thinking about intelligence analysis and you think that's a really cool, neat career field to go into, and I was one for many years, so I thought that, and I would still be doing it today if I wasn't doing this, quite truthfully. I loved being an intelligence analyst. But education does not necessarily play a major role in you becoming an intelligence analyst. If you have a high school diploma and any kind of even basic formal education, you can go into the U.S. military as an intelligence analyst. Let the education catch up later, because what they're going to do is put you in a variety of situations to where you're just going to do the same thing or related things so often that you develop that gut feeling, and education comes along, and that really builds the whole package.
One of the key statements that he made is that he wanted to make himself more marketable. And the thing that he wasn't clear on is what it was he wanted to do in there.
Sure.
So unfortunately, if he makes himself more marketable, meaning that I can get a job easier and quicker, he could even make a lot of good money, but if it's not something he ever had in any drive or desire to do, he could be stepping into one hellacious situation, because it could be the worst thing in his life.
And questions like that. So, where these questions come from is when you visit our webpage, you see the little Q&A guru icon at the top of all of our websites. And when you click that, you give us a question. So when you write us a question, and there's no space as to how much you can write, and you say, I'd like to make myself more marketable, one of the things you could help is also tell us where you're at in life right now. We need that to be able to give a better answer.
And as we're getting into these questions too, we're making a better effort to reach out to each of these people
We are.
and let them know, first of all, we got your question, and either if we're not just writing you personally, we're talking about it here on the program, and this will be archived, so if you miss it the first time it was aired, sooner or later you can catch it, or you can catch somebody else's question that might very well
That's
apply
right.
to you.
And your questions end up in a variety of places. We never publish your name or location, but your questions end up in a variety of places. One place is like our master archive of all questions and answers. That's called usajobsblog.com, another very fine intelligencecareers.com website. But you will find the Q&A questions on Intelligence Careers and many of our other blogs too, as appropriate to the content.
We've got a bunch more questions, so I think we've probably run through George's pretty well. Let's go to one from Brian, and again, this is from last year. I have a master's degree in intelligence management with a GPA of 3.95, not shabby, but no direct experience and no security clearance. What do I need to do to overcome the lack of experience and no top secret clearance?
Well, in many ways, this really is like part 2 of George's question. Because whereas George is looking to get that education, Brian has got it.
The degree.
And now Brian finds himself at a crossroad. So there are a couple things that can happen. Depending upon where you live and what your current career field is, what you need to do is identify employers that are in a variety of skill sets that do not require security clearance. So that could be consulting. Booz Allen Hamilton is a great company for people with and without clearances. So they have what they call defense policy analyst at Booz Allen. And so Brian, you're a good fit for a junior defense policy
And he's already got
analyst.
the grad degree.
Got the grad degree, now you
lacking
need
the clearance.
Right. Well, lacking the clearance and probably lacking 2 to 3 years experience, because
no direct experience. Says it right then there.
because you were military just as I was military, and just to get beyond the acronyms and kind of the nuance of what the military really means, takes 2 to 3 years. But you could go to work for a consulting firm. You could go to work for a information research firm, such as whether it's a news agency or a regional studies, cultural studies. There are a variety of career fields and companies that you could go to work for. But number one important thing, Brian, is you want to find a company that has jobs either in the secret category or without any clearance requirement whatsoever.
With official use only, that's not necessarily a security clearance, but it is
Right.
like a trusted position.
So if you find companies that have low-level clearance requirements, and there are some good defense companies, so there are always opportunities with companies such as Lockheed Martin. There are General Dynamics IT is another. There are occasionally opportunities with Northrop Grumman Mission Systems and CACI, aka CACI,
Or SAIC.
or SAIC. There's often opportunities, but what you're going to have to do is identify, look for a job that describes your expertise and apply to that, because you need to point it out. So you may meet recruiters that say, do you have a top secret? Do you have a top secret? Especially if you go to a career fair and meet recruiters from any of the companies I just mentioned, you're going to feel pretty frustrated, actually, because you're going to think all they have are things that require clearances. Go to their website, find a job, and when you meet a recruiter, apply online, of course, but when you meet a recruiter, hand them your resume and say, by the way, here is the job on your website that's either secret or no clearance. I believe that I meet the requirements for this.
Right.
And they're probably going to do, they're going to make you happy and take it back and consider you.
There's a better chance that they're going to push that to the right people.
Absolutely.
Is it normal that, for example, at a career fair, you'd walk up to a recruiter and they're really kind of looking around to ask that question in a polite way? You got a top secret clearance?
Well,
Or, you
I
know,
would.
top secret with a poly?
I don't know that it's. There's a polite way. I would say it's the common way. If you're going to meet a defense industry or national security recruiter, chances are 9 out of 10 jobs they have require security clearance. You could literally be a rocket scientist, and they need to hire a rocket scientist. But if you don't have the clearance, they often can't get it for you.
You're going to get it, yeah.
So they're going to ask you right up front, please, thank you for your resume. What is your clearance?
Okay. So that's their nice way of getting around to it. But there are also positions available in some of these companies where they'll work with you to get you that clearance.
All
like
of
an
the
interim?
companies I just mentioned, but you're going to have to apply to a secret position
Okay.
for which you're
so started
qualified.
lower. Okay.
Yeah, or you're going to have to apply to a position that requires no clearance. It does happen, but it's very rare that you can have no clearance and you get considered for a top secret job. And when that happens, often they put you into a lesser job because it's going to take 9, 11, 12 months to get you that top secret, and they cannot use you until they get that interim.
And in the meantime, they're almost like kind of spinning their wheels, treading water to make sure, first of all, hoping that you get your top secret.
That's right, and they have to, they're hoping that they're paying you for something.
Yeah, and imagine though too, you go through that and then they find out, no, you've been disapproved for your top secret.
And that really is the big economic risk to a company, which is why they almost always turn down people without a top secret for a top secret position, unless they see that you previously had a top secret and understand that, okay, we can take a chance because this person's done it once, so they can probably do it twice.
All right, since we're talking about clearances, some basics. Generally in the military, people get a clearance. I think at least in the time I was there, when you traveled overseas, you were given a secret clearance right away. So if you've had that in your experience, then at least that's something, even though it's expired, you can still say that formerly had this
That's
clearance.
right, and you should always put the year or whatever.
And then from the time I leave the military, say I had a secret clearance, I left in 2008, January of 2008. How long is that clearance good for?
Your clearance is good for 24 months from date of last
So
use.
the end of December 2010 is when it went
Whatever
away.
day you went to the security officer and they said, sign here that you agree to not discuss anything that you've learned. That's called a debriefing or a read-off.
Is that for all clearances too?
That's for all clearances.
Okay, is there
Every level.
I see. There was another question that we'll bring up another day, and they said they had a clearance that was level A, B, C, D, and E, and I was like, wow, I've never heard of that before. So maybe that shows my ignorance. or
Well-
shows how high that person is.
And that could be.
We'll see. Maybe we'll get to that question
We get
another
some
time.
strange questions occasionally.
Well, we'll, as we mentioned earlier, we're going to stay away from the question from the soldier that came from the continent of Africa because we just don't know that information.
That's fine. Now, but let me say, we often get questions from people who say, I'm not a U.S. citizen. I would like to be considered for. How do I do that?
And we have one of those coming.
Okay,
So
good.
remind
Well,
me to tell you about that question later
Good.
on. But the next one comes from Donna. And Donna wrote that she's 48 years old with years of office experience. That she's currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in business and has just completed her associate's degree in business. Say, what are the chances of me, Donna, landing a position within the federal government based on this information? 48 years old, female, AA degree, working on her BS.
I got to tell you, Donna, and I love you, chances are not good. Chances are not good for a couple of reasons. As far as going into the government, first off, the government looks to hire folks that are going to be here and can work their way through learning the job, being able to work in teams with other people, moving up to supervisor, going for more education. So the government really looks for what we call retainability. At age 48, and it has nothing to do with being a woman or whatever, at age 48, they're going to look for you to already have your bachelor's degree, first off, to be competitive.
Okay.
But they're going to, I would just say that the chances are not that high. Instead, what I would consider is using your degree and using your office experience and looking to go find a company that needs a senior executive assistant.
That's true. Yeah.
And so for some people who've worked in companies and they know executive assistants or administrative assistants, different companies treat them as anything from a glorified secretary, but a senior executive assistant often makes 50, 60, 70, and depending on where you're at, 80, 90,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Put your experience and put your new degree to work there. I just don't think you're going to be happy and find that open door in the government.
It may also be that they feel like, in her case, Donna may feel like, I can make more money with the federal government.
Well, some people are looking for security.
Bingo. That was just what I was going to say. She may be
And I
looking
got
for security
news
too.
for you. The world has changed.
Yeah, the government isn't necessarily a secure place
The
to be working.
government, over the next 12 months, government at city, state, and federal level, all look to cut positions. So if anything, they're looking for young and cheap to bring into the government,
Right.
or they're looking for senior and wizened, gray-haired people that have a very, very unique set of expertise for problem solving. They're not looking to bring people in that are not going to be there in 5, 6, 10 years. And, again, I love you, Donna, but if you're 48 and you're not yet at your degree, you're going to be of retirement age before you ever reach 10 years of service.
And I wonder if it's plausible, too, that it could be like last hired, first fired.
Well, this is the government. It doesn't
They don't exactly fire, I guess, do they? They
Well,
transition
it
you, or
can happen. But
reduction
you know
in
what?
force?
One of the reduction in force, and there are different rules on that. But one of the things the government is also doing now is giving self-terminating contracts. So it could be that you could get like a short-term guaranteed period of employment of like 1 year or 4 years. And what the government does there is say, fine, we're willing to hire you, but you cannot be promoted while working for us. That is written into the
very
contract.
likely, the day this ends is the day it ends,
It is.
and we'll see you later after that.
But the bottom line again is the federal government and most state and local governments are looking to get rid of people over the next 12 months. And if you can get government employment, that's great, but I would tell you that is a dangerous industry to go into. And if you get in, chances are very high that you're going to get a self-terminating contract.
Yeah, but if you go to usajobs.com, the government's website for openings, you find a lot of openings there. It looks like the government is hiring like gangbusters.
Well, keep in mind, and I don't know what the number is today, but USA Jobs normally has between maybe 17 to 20,000 jobs listed at any given time. Yeah. So
USA Jobs alone has over 100,000 jobs.
that's right, in commercial and civilian industry.
Wow.
And that's a discussion we should get into. The U.S. job market is challenged as it has been, and it is.
Although it's getting better.
It's getting better. There is a churn of actually several hundred thousands of jobs per month in the commercial industry. But with the government market, that's a very different market, because when they bring people on, people tend to stay in the government, and they stay a long time, and there's not a churn. They may switch between agencies or offices, but there's not a churn. So 20,000 positions is quite a few. But then when you have, you consider, and I don't know the exact size of the federal government, but I would say they probably have 30 to 40,000 people leaving the government easily each year. So,
Well, they do have to backfill it like the military.
Well,
They're
sure.
making cuts in the military too, but they still need that inflow of fresh.
you always need, so no matter
talent.
how challenging any market is, whether it's commercial or government, they're always looking for fresh blood. But the federal government, and I believe your question's directed here, the federal government pretty much over the next couple of years through about 2014 is going to be looking for young and cheap, and the four-year degree is very important there, even young and cheap. Or they're going to be looking for people that are bringing a very specific kind of experience to the government.
So I guess for Donna at 48 years old, looking
And
at
48 is not old.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Right, but I would say we probably wouldn't say don't apply to the government.
should apply.
Certainly you should.
But you should be pursuing other avenues, because I don't believe that you're going to be incredibly successful.
It would be interesting if Donna did get a job through the government, though, and was able to
Yeah.
write us back. And if you did get a job recently, it would be interesting to hear about your success, how you did it, and maybe what
Which
you would
agency?
and what
There
you
are
would
some-
recommend for other people to do too.
There are some agencies hiring. The Internal Revenue Service is hiring. The Patent and Trademark Office is hiring. The National Geospatial Intelligence Agency is hiring. So there are government agencies that are hiring.
Homeland Security also, and all the
Yeah, and of course that's this giant
state and city
behemoth.
emergency organizations too.
Preparedness,
Sure.
right?
How about another question?
Absolutely.
This one comes from MJ. And MJ writes, and this is an interesting one because he writes, he's looking for the salary range for Korean instructors at a defense contractor company. MJ writes that I would like to get some information regarding the salary range or my market value as a Korean instructor. Currently, I have a conditional job offer to work for the Diplomatic Language Services at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And I would like to know the salary range of the industry standards so that I can negotiate a salary this week. So I think we've missed his deadline, but maybe we can help somebody else.
Sorry, MJ.
Yeah, sorry
But
about that, dude.
we can help in lots of ways. And when MJ wrote that question, really, if he looked around him or her, I don't know which,
Yeah, we're not sure.
looked around our website, they would have found that there was a fairly easy way to get the answer to that. Whenever you visit our website, look for a green circular icon with a $sign in the middle. Click that icon. It's going to take you to a salary calculator.
How about that? See, that was
And what you want to do is you want to go in and put your skill set, and there's not going to be a skill set called Korean linguist, but there will be translator or linguist. You want to put that number in. You want to put that job title in, then you want to put the location of the job and hit search. And it's going to ask you. Now,
that'll just be at least a ballpark of what
it will be a
the
very
salary is.
good ballpark, and it's going to give you three numbers back. Unless you're very, very senior level and being hired to be very, very senior level, you really probably want the number in the middle. And my guess, and I don't really know how accurate I am, but my guess would be you're worth about $55,000 to $65,000 in the North Carolina market. Cost of living is much lower
Good point.
in North Carolina, and 55 to 65,000 is a really good salary there.
Yeah, if that were in Washington D.C., that might be a stressed income just because
It would
of the
be.
cost of living.
Now, in Washington, D.C., or Metro Washington, D.C., where linguists are always in demand, and that demand goes up and down, you'll find that no two linguists are worth the same amount of money.
Would it be safe to say that the demand for the linguists depends on what's going on in the world? Like,
Absolutely.
there's
If
probably
it is
a big demand for Pashto and Farsi right now.
and Pashto and Farsi, depending upon whether you're willing to do it here or willing to go overseas, absolutely.
Or even in MJ's case, Korean or North Korean.
Sure.
They're just, I think North Korean is just another dialect of the Korean language, Hangul. So, interesting. Well, I hope he got the job, and I hope he took
Sure.
it. So I'd like to thank him for his question. Kamsahamnida. Chammaneo, you're welcome.
And let me bring up some of the things that I'm looking at. We're always looking for ways to reach out and to expand opportunities for people. Because intelligence careers, think about it, intelligence is all about having a problem, a challenge, and being able to ask the right questions, find the right information, and to help people solve their problems. Well, that's what we do. We help solve people's problems by helping them find unique opportunities. So we have 5 new blogs that we launched this
Let's
week.
discuss those.
The 5 blogs are, and this is one of my favorite, America Can Build That. We hear from employers all the time, I can't find qualified people.
Yep, that's true.
We hear in the news about manufacturing, that the American manufacturing part of the market is very challenged. But I got news for you. America's a great place. And that's not news to most Americans, but we have kind of been hit so hard by negative news lately that where do we focus on what is coming down the line, what's next, what great things are we doing, and we're doing some great things. So we have a new blog called AmericaCanBuildThat.com, and we feature new technologies and companies and ideas that you should really know about, kind of like America, the next generation, and we're going to help you get there today.
Now, as a blog, are guests able to post comments and stories in there?
Sure,
Or-
we look for people to write on any of our blogs.
Okay, so it's not just somebody internally from the Intelligence
No.
Career Corporation.
And,
working on it.
and in fact, we probably, across all of our blogs, we post 15 to 20 items per day. All but one probably come from external sources and news services, et cetera, et cetera. So if there's information on any of our blogs that you'd like to get out, just send your item to customerservice@intelligencecareers.com. We don't pay to put information, but it's a good way. If you have an opinion or you have an area of expertise.
We all have opinions, so.
We all have opinions. We don't
love to
necessarily
share.
publish many of them. But if you have an area of expertise and you want to get it out there and it meets our audience, the needs of our audience, we're willing to put it on
Is
there.
there somebody that monitors that blog too to, put things on there that have to do with that and not just
Yes,
lame
yes. So
stuff?
we have you'll see many items are posted by staff editor.
Okay.
And we have several staff editors. And we check for not only grammar and everything else, because our goal is to make sure that the information on any one blog is appropriate to the audience.
If I were to go there today, what was the #1 story that's on there that you think would
On
be?
AmericaCanBuildThat.com, the #1 story, there are 2 #1 stories. One is that we now have new ANSI standards for engineers, a certification. So let's say you go to school in Massachusetts and now you want to go off to Texas to build great and wonderful things. Well, you could say I have a degree in engineering or whatever else, but more and more formal education, while it is important, certifications are more important. And often in engineering, et cetera, we don't have a lot of certifications. So we now have a nationwide certification for many engineering skills, and you can find that on ANSI.com.
And what was the other story?
AmericaCanBuildThat.com. The other story is that there's from Randstad USA, or they also call themselves Randstad Professionals. They are looking to develop young people who want to go into engineering and science and technology and mathematics.
Looking for people with degrees or people that they can just
Well,
train?
looking for people who plan to be in the market 2 to 3 years from now.
Okay.
So they have put together a new website, and I don't remember the name of the website exactly, but they have put together an interactive blog of their own that says, hey, here's how you get there. Here's what you should be studying. Here are success stories.
Okay.
You know, so
It's
you,
almost like a spin-off of intelligencecareers.com.
absolutely.
And
Friends of
America can
Intelligence
make that. An American can make that.com too.
That's right. So we have several other blogs because
Is that what the new blog is called? Friends of Intelligencecareers.com?
you know we should probably get that. Yes, and
Or
everyone
cross-link.
is a friend. That's
Or
right.
cross-link. What are the other ones that we
The
got?
other ones are studentstartercareers.com. Because we always hear from students, well, you know, just like we had George and Brian, but younger students probably that say, look, I'm in high school or I am in college and I really am not sure where to be going. So we focus on topics of interest to students.
Trying to lead them into particular careers or giving them ideas of careers they should go into?
Yes.
All of the above.
All of the above. We let them know about scholarships and competitions. Like there's a huge competition across the USA among high schools right now, or within high schools, I should say, for cybersecurity, where people who are studying a variety of subjects, not just computer science, but other subjects, and problems are given and contests are held, and these winning students often end up with scholarships. So, student starter careers. What do you need to be at the right place when you graduate and to prepare yourself for your next career?
As a parent, it still feels kind of odd when you think that the FBI, DIA, CIA, they may be looking as far down as high school.
10th grade. 10th grade is
and
when...
you're saying, you know, this is where we need to embrace these people and start bringing them along and training them
But you know,
for a career in our corporation.
The national level agencies have been looking into high schools at least since the 1980s.
Yeah.
And probably beyond that. But that was my first exposure to teenagers in national security environment, et cetera, and entering at the 10th grade level.
But I think it's got to be a rare individual who, at that age in their life or that stage of their life, can say, that's what I want. I want to do that.
And you know, if you're a young person watching the video, and AJ and I, we've been
We're
around the
listening.
block a couple times, we're listening. I would tell you that don't get wrapped up around trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up. It's good to have ideas, but focus on a good, solid education. Look for opportunities to get involved, explore.
True.
Be willing to say, you know what, I don't know, but that seems interesting. Let me go see what that's about.
And if accepted and they're willing to work with you, at least you'll have that exposure and that knowledge of the career field. All right, so
Now, we have a third blog that's brand new as well, and of course they're all brand new, that's why we call them brand new. The third blog that we have is called USADiversitySpectrum.com. You know, we often...
explain that one.
Yeah, you know. Well, the bottom line is there are many opportunities out there for people, whether you're, let's say, women or particular minorities or people studying
Religious groups.
or groups of different kinds, and there are opportunities that say, look, we're looking to bring you into the mainstream. Or make it easier for you to come into the mainstream, because reality is a lot of jobs, et cetera, are focused upon how we grow up within society. And there are people that do not quite always fit or grow up in the mainstream, and we are looking to bring them, such as there's, let's say that you immigrated to the U.S., and you grew up in an immigrant community or in a community that was heavily immigrant, so your English isn't quite what it could be. Right. Your mind has nothing to do with the quality of your English. Correct. But we want to be able to engage people at a certain level. So USADiversityCareers.com basically says what's out there and who cares about you.
Interesting.
Kind of, you know, the off-brand individual that will make America build that.
It sounds to me like this is really not geared towards the average American necessarily.
It's not. It's,
You know,
it's geared towards people that we're looking to get into the greater society.
It almost sounds like a maturing of affirmative actions, that companies that are even going out of their way to still say, look, we're trying to be a diverse company, looking for people that can handle a diverse work environment, you know, or we want people
And
that have
that's
done
important.
That.
And that is true, because many companies, they realize, in fact, you know, so I came from Germany just last week. Last Thursday, I didn't immigrate from Germany, but I was in Germany.
Yeah. Your English is very cool.
Oh, thank you, danke. So I was in Germany trying to help troops find opportunities, and I gave a number of seminars, and people kept saying, there are almost no opportunities over here if I want to stay in Europe. They're almost, and you know, that's not true. It is absolutely not true. What they're looking at is there are not many opportunities with contractors that service the military bases.
That makes sense, though.
Now, there are tons of opportunities for Americans in Europe.
I would imagine if you speak the local language, that also
That helps. For example, so if you want to work in Europe, one of the things I recommend is you go to Indeed.com, INDEED.com. Go to the bottom of the page, and you're going to see a listing of Spain, Germany, France, Brazil,
locations.
India, a number of countries. Click there, and you're going to find that American companies actually, not only American companies, but foreign companies, and many companies are international companies now, their complaint is they can't find enough people that want to work overseas. So
there's the issue, though, right there. You know, I'm in a comfort zone here in Virginia, you know, but don't take me out of my comfort zone.
Right.
You know, for those of us that have been in the military, we've been through that, and we were probably able to adjust to that. But if you've never done it before, you know, that's a pretty harrowing experience to think, I'm going to end up in X country.
And you're going to have to live like the citizens of that country.
Yeah.
You probably need USADiversityCareers.com to help you find unique opportunities for you to blend into
What
that
a
economy.
very wise blog to develop. Good thing it's new, because if it wasn't there already, we'd have developed it tonight.
That's right.
What's another one of the new ones? We've covered...
EngineeringSpectrum.com.
This is the fourth one
That's
now.
the fourth one. So EngineeringSpectrum.com. And we already have a number of blogs focused on engineering. We have DefenseTechnologyJobs.com. We have DefenseEngineers.com. But you know, not everyone builds spy satellites and submarines.
Or builds rockets, yeah.
And
you know,
builds
in
rockets.
some of these cases, actually, I see there's crossing over of some of those, too.
Really, probably a huge crossover of skills, etc. But the difference is, if you're an engineer and you go to DefenseEngineers.com, you're going to think, you know, I really don't want to build the next great tank or battlefield vehicle or UAV or whatever. I want to design an electronic technology. I want to design better lights, or I want to work within green energy.
Circuit boards.
So we have EngineeringSpectrum.com, where we talk about the breaking technologies and companies that you should know about.
Like what? What's the big story on there right now?
Unisys is looking for people in California and New York right now in technology, and you do not need a security clearance. So in California, they're looking for a web developer. They're looking for a Java developer. I forget what they're looking for in New York. But if you go to EngineeringSpectrum.com, you're going to see in big, bold letters, hot jobs, and then it's going to give you the name of the job.
And in all the other blogs that we've already mentioned, too, there's the hot jobs link.
We
on
do.
those
We have
things.
hot jobs that we publish out there. So we have tons of information about stuff that we believe you should know. And we always have hot jobs. And on most of our blogs, when you go, you're going to see the front page of the blog has the 100 most current jobs within that career field.
Okay. And how about our fifth blog?
Our fifth blog is USAExecutiveAssistants.com.
Funny we should be talking that. And the question we had earlier, that would be a perfect place for them.
It is. And a lot of people don't understand executive assistants. Bottom line is, an assistant is someone that helps you. An executive assistant is someone that actually has done everything imaginable and can outthink you, like Radar on MASH. Yep. You know, the colonel walks in and just starts signing stuff, or goes to ask a question, and Radar says, yes, I already did
we
that.
kind of joke around about this where I'm at, that if you ever ask the executive assistant about what's going on, they know and they can share with you what they're able to share, because while you may be looking for the manager or the senior executive vice president, they're hard to find, but usually the executive assistant knows the answer to most of the questions.
They
that you
not
have.
only know the answer in just about, it doesn't matter what kind of company. Executive assistants often know the details as well or better as anyone else in the company, because they have done the proofreading, they have done the check, they've done
That's true.
follow-ups. They've often done much of the things that you would assume to be a project manager responsibility.
And a lot of people think that it's just the manager, vice president making the opinion, but actually the executive assistants tend to be opinion makers too.
They tend to be the gatekeepers. If you do not get on the good side of an executive assistant,
Yep.
you know, terrible things can happen.
Yeah, if you're,
to you.
and seen that many times recommended. If you're looking for a job, looking for an interview, you be careful about how you treat everybody.
Yeah, you see someone sitting at a desk with a telephone at the entrance to an office, and you think, how nice. This is someone, you know, they answer the phone. I got news for you. An executive assistant is one of the most important people that you will ever meet in a company, and certainly the management recognizes that too.
And I think the average person knows that, but you know, there's always that bozo out there.
Yeah, and we know, there are a lot of
Bozoette
bozos.
that just comes along and they just, you know, again, mistreat whomever that person is and don't even realize that that person has an opinion and may very well have an effect upon the job that they're interviewing for or looking
Happens often.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
before we get on to the next question, the Defense Intelligence Agency is looking for professionals, and we, intelligencecareers.com, are sponsoring the Defense Intelligence Agency at a number of recruiting events. And when I say sponsor, we're putting on the event, and the Defense Intelligence Agency is our absolutely super guest recruiting organization that you should know about.
for. And usually there are others there too.
Usually there are.
Not just DIA, but
But I know some of you really are interested in worldwide doing things that definitely impact national security, and the Defense Intelligence Agency, or the DIA, is in all of it. Let me tell you where you can meet the DIA recruiters with Intelligence Careers over the next few months. March 16th in McLean, Virginia, you can meet the DIA. March 30th in Augusta, Georgia, Fort Gordon, Georgia, you can meet the DIA. May 11th in Tampa, Florida,
third location right there.
and May 19th in Stuttgart, Germany, you can meet the Defense Intelligence Agency. And they're not only looking for people in intelligence, but in logistics, technology, security, finance,
So
and
really in
accounting
every
as well.
kind of career field, major functions.
Yeah,
there.
you know, the agencies are basically small cities unto themselves.
Are they looking for all people with clearances though, or is this also non-clearance?
Generally, they need people with clearances, but there are opportunities for people without clearances.
If your goal is to get back to Germany then, and maybe working with the DIA as a possibility, there you go.
And many other places
Or
around
Georgia
the world.
or Texas.
Absolutely. Or Washington, D.C.
Or Washington, D.C.
In fact, now if you're a young person or if you have not been in this business before,
young.
you are absolutely young.
So just,
You are fresh.
what's a young person though? Generally 30,
Well, when I
30
say
and below?
a young person, I should say an inexperienced professional.
So somebody maybe right out of high school, college.
You could be 40 years old and graduating from college. You went back to get retraining, and let's say you got hired. You are so that's what I mean by young. You're inexperienced within that career field.
Okay.
Now, if you don't think that you're going to like travel the world and be a little James Bond or whatever. The bottom line is, when you enter to an agency and you don't have experience in that area, you can expect to spend 2 to 5 years at the headquarters, because, like we were discussing intelligence analyst earlier, you've got to get that gut feeling.
Yep.
And that education is great, but unless you can look at something and say, you know, all the pieces are there, but something seems wrong.
Well, it also matters to have a supervisor who observes you and says, they get it.
That's
They
right.
understand it now.
A mentor. Hey, man, we should start USA Mentor Jobs now.
Oh,
Just kidding.
Another blog. We'll announce it next week.
How about another question?
Since we were talking about traveling and
I love to travel.
international subjects, this next one is from Simon, who happens to be a non-American citizen. And he says that he has British military experience, especially in EOD, explosive ordnance disposal. And he also has some experience with the New Zealand police and prison intelligence. So he has citizenship in the UK and New Zealand, according to Simon, and he's looking for intelligence opportunities in the United States. Where do I start?
Okay. Well, first off, I would tell you, Simon, as far as an intelligence agency, the chances are not high. But with your EOD experience, chances are very high that you can find someone that cares. Because working in EOD, think about what's gone on in Iraq and Afghanistan over the last few years. The creative use of munitions to hurt, harm, and kill. We have a number of programs within the U.S. to study munitions, etc., and other countries do too, our allies around the world. And if you think about intelligence as having a challenge, and you're trying to come up with a solution, focus on things that involve EOD and munitions and how to defeat them, and I think that you're going to find an opportunity that you're looking for. EOD itself, if you go to any of our websites and search on EOD, you will find jobs associated with
Well, how
that.
about that? So if we ever
And
hear back
police
from Simon,
departments?
yeah, if we ever hear from Simon, it would be interesting to
Sure.
find out what he got as far as a job. And this was only just from probably about 2 weeks ago that Simon wrote us. So again, if you have any other information to share about that, Simon, let us know. But it sure would be neat to hear if he locks in on something. Wouldn't his citizenship be a challenge?
His citizenship would only be a challenge as regards work for if he needed a security clearance.
Okay.
Obviously, if Simon is looking for work within the United States, if he gets off the plane, he's going to have an appropriate visa. So, if he has a green card or he has a visa, that's not something I would be concerned about. There are plenty of opportunities in the EOD field or munitions field without a security clearance. It's a matter of really, are you eligible to immigrate or have you already cleared that?
Yeah, now he says UK citizenship, so I may be assuming too much to say British. It could be Scottish, Irish, but UK citizenship.
Well, as a Commonwealth citizen, there are many Commonwealth citizens that have country of origin, such as New Zealand or wherever.
Oh, maybe it's that tie-in then.
Yeah.
And I wondered about whether if there was a job to be hired for and you couldn't find any U.S. citizens for it, but let's say it's an EOD position, and you've got somebody from China and you've got somebody with UK citizenship applying for it, equal skills, would they gravitate more towards a country that we feel closer to, like the United Kingdom? Or a massive trade partner like China?
You would think that in your stomach you would think, yeah, we're going to gravitate towards something like the UK because we have a special relationship with them. But reality is we tend to gravitate towards whoever has the highest level of technical expertise. I have worked in industry a long time, and there's no shortage of Chinese engineers working in the United States, and we're not talking Taiwan or Malaysia. We're talking People's Republic of China, students and engineers that are working over here.
Sure.
So that's just one of those. Most organizations are going to go with whomever meets the technical requirement, who has the work visa or an appropriate visa, and likes the amount of money being paid.
And I'm sure that probably in the real world, they're so rare that you should come across two people that are exactly alike, or identical.
Absolutely.
Or so close that it's like, I can't lose no matter who I pick.
Sure.
So
But now, Simon, if you're looking to come to the U.S., use your Commonwealth connections. Look for a company that does business within the United States, because just as there are companies saying, we have trouble finding people who want to work in Europe, there are companies that have international companies or or Commonwealth companies that have operations within the U.S., and they can bring you in as part of their team.
And as much as we'd like to think, I guess everybody wants to come to the United States, I'm sure there are companies that say, look, we can't find anybody that wants to go there.
Sure, and so there are plenty of opportunities.
We've got just a few more minutes left. What do you say we take one more question?
One more question.
And I'm going to say that this is from Lyra. And Lyra writes that, so I've had a successful second interview for a copywriting position and received an email from the recruiter that said, good news, you're on the short list of top candidates for the copywriter position. The recruiter says, I will let you know more by midweek, but the next step is likely a quick writing project. Please keep me posted if you think you are getting close to an offer stage with any other companies, and I'll be in touch. Have a great weekend. So Lyra writes, well, yay, wow. So now I'm preparing by pouring through the company's website to prepare myself for the writing project. But my question is, I also had a second interview for a very different position as an assistant at a daycare center. The daycare center said they would give me their decision around midweek as well. The copywriting position is the only copywriting position I applied for because these positions seem to be far and few between, and the other ones I looked at didn't really appeal to me. And this copywriting position is my first choice. So if I get an offer from the daycare center, do I tell the recruiter? I want to appear competitive and in demand, but if they ask me what the offer is for, would I appear wishy-washy and not committed to copywriting? What to do?
Well, I think that Lyra has outlined part of the issue. That is copywriting positions don't come along very frequently. And I would say it's probably a junior position because if she's balancing childcare versus being a copywriter, then she's probably looking to pay bills and to get in the business. But it's pretty obvious she wants to be a copywriter.
Yeah, she made that clear.
What you need to do really is if the child care position or offer comes in first, you really need to just stall and say, what I'd like to do is take a few days and think about it. And so if you expect it midweek, Wednesday, then let them know. Ask them, is it okay if I get back to you on Monday?
I was going to say, is it fair to ask how
Yes.
long can I wait before I make a decision?
Any decent job out there, when they make an offer, it's not uncommon for someone to say, well, I thank you very much, and what I'd like to do is to sleep on it. And it is okay to actually say, you know, I have another offer, and I'd like to sleep on it, give me a few days. Now, if you're looking to pay bills and you're worried about someone's going to say no and the other might not come through, that's one thing. You've got to make up your mind which is more important. But child care, while an important area, and we all need child care, the bottom line is that is a fairly common skill set and a common career that you can get into. And if copywriting is rare, you need to buy time, or you need to tell the child care, you know, I've got a unique job opportunity. Give me just a few days to see how that works out. And if I don't hear anything by Friday, I will commit to you.
Yeah, and I would imagine child care is very fulfilling, but the future growth in child care versus the copywriting position.
Sure.
I think in copywriting, you know, sometimes you can go as far as your skills will take you.
And yeah,
So
you've got to think about where you want to really be in 5 or 10 years.
Right. And she makes that quite clear that that's where they want to be.
Right. So you got to make a choice. And it sounds to me like the choice is stall on one and wait till you hear from the
would think
copywriting position.
if you could do that, or if you think that one may be delayed, maybe accept the one job, child care position, and see if the copywriting comes up. Especially since they make it so clear that, you know, that's where I want to go.
Right.
So Lyra, and forgive my assumption that it's a female, it could be a guy. That
It is a unique spelling.
yeah. But if the copywriting thing is where you want to go, that's really what you should pursue.
And that's like all jobs in life. At some point, you've got to make up your mind where you want to be in life. It's one thing to be indecisive or undecided or thinking about where you'd like to end up, but it's something completely different that when you have an opportunity for you to be indecisive and say, well, you know, okay, I've got this, but what if this comes along? You know, you've got to make up your mind. Just do it sometimes.
And good luck with the positions. Hopefully you got the copyright job.
Yeah, hopefully. Work on your way up to marketing and creative design and advertisement placement. There's so many things you can do with that job.
Now we're running out of time, so let's cover our 5 new blogs one more time. Let's
Our
get those if we've got them.
5 new blogs.
And then let's also end it all by just saying where intelligencecareers.com will be in the next couple of months.
Sure. So we have 5 new blogs meant to help you find unique opportunities. They are AmericaCanBuildThat.com, StudentStarterCareers.com, USADiversitySpectrum.com, EngineeringSpectrum.com, and USAExecutiveAssistance.com. And you can meet intelligence careers recruiters right alongside Defense Intelligence Agency recruiters in these 4 locations over the next few months. McLean, Virginia on March 16th, Augusta, Georgia on March 30th, Tampa, Florida on May 11th, and Stuttgart, Germany in May 19th. And if you are at any of these events, I'll be there too.
And if you can't make it to the event, put your resume online at intelligencecareers.com or usajobsu.com. And it's a free service. Find your next career. Do it through us.
12,000 defense jobs online as of today, almost 100,000 private or commercial industry jobs online at USA JobSU. Don't wait. Go online, plug in, I want to be, and then go apply.
There you go. That brings us to the end of IntelligenceCareers.com radio. Bill and AJ, join us again next time for another edition.
Take care.
Bye-bye now.